I know my lighting is crappy right now, but I'm really trying to rest my eyes. I've been working very hard today. I've been looking for kudzu vines, trying to cut the vines off at the source, crawling through extremely dense vegetation all day with a silky saw, cutting all my kudzu vines, really thick crap. So you can see I'm sweaty, but I'm still dedicated to making videos for you guys because I know you guys like watching them. And so I'm going to do this video for you guys, and I'm going to take it on to bed after this. We talked a lot about how certain individuals on YouTube like to fearmonger. I asked multiple different artificial intelligence about the possibility of World War III. And as you can see, look how many sources it's citing. This is a lot of sources. This is the type of thing that would take a human being a week to do. To research all these different sources would not be easy for a human being to do. To compile a report this extensive, and it only took like a couple seconds. That's amazing, this technology we have. One of the key findings of the AI, it says the only conceivable win in a World War III scenario would be its prevention. The profound and irreversible cost to humanity and the planet underscore the imperative for sustained diplomatic engagement, robust international cooperation, and a renewed commitment to de-escalation mechanisms. That's what it's saying there. We got DeepSeek AI is saying something very, very similar. Conflict de-escalation. World War III is not a game with winners and losers. It's a potential extinction level event. Here we have Grok. Grok says, in a hypothetical World War III, the key players would likely be the U.S., China, Russia, supported by allies like NATO, North Korea, and Iran. The odds of it happening are low but not negligible, given the current tensions and deterrence factors. In a conventional war, the U.S. and its allies might have a slight edge due to technology and alliances, though victory would come at a steep cost. In a nuclear war, no one would win, only mutual destruction would result. That's Grok is saying that. And then ChatGPT is saying current assessments grounded in defense data and expert judgment suggest that while global conflict is at a higher risk than in many decades, the probability of a true all-encompassing World War III in the next 18 months remains relatively low, likely in the low to double-digit % range. All right, we got DeepSeek, we got Google Gemini, we got all of these AIs are coming out with a pretty they're basically all saying the same thing. They're saying World War III is unlikely but not impossible, and World War III would have disastrous consequences for humanity and could end all life on Earth. That's basically what AI is saying, but it's telling us something that all the experts have already told us. Like the reality of World War III. Again, I don't want to be a fearmonger. I know a lot of people want to fearmonger about World War III, and it definitely could happen. But most expert analysis, most assessments, including AI is making a lot of assessments and it's citing tons of sources. I mean, the number of sources that it's citing is just pretty ridiculous. Here's all the citations here. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's not like AI is just making this shit up. Look at all the sources it's citing. It found these sources, right? And it is parroting what most of the experts say, which is that World War III is a possibility, but it's also not very likely. So a lot of people are going to tell you that World War III is going to happen tomorrow and all that, and most of the people that say that are selling you something, right? So I mean, this is the cold hard truth. I know nobody wants to hear it. I know it's not that interesting. I know me telling you that World War III is going to happen tomorrow is a lot more interesting, but it's the truth can be boring sometimes, you know. And then there's a saying that I like, nothing ever happens until something happens, right? So it could happen, and I would have contingency planning in place for in case there is a global conflict of some sort. Yeah, I would definitely have contingency plans in place for that, 100%. But in terms of losing sleep over it, in terms of worrying about it, in terms of like in terms of like letting that fear dictate your entire life, I wouldn't let that fear dictate your whole life. I just wouldn't, man. I would spend a portion of your income for a global disaster type event. I would prepare for it, and I would make sure that you're ready for that contingency to some extent. Stockpile food that has a very long shelf life. I got other videos on how to do that, but getting super worried about it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. What is the wisdom to know the difference in this situation? If you have millions of dollars, I would invest in a bunker. If you can, yeah, if you have millions of dollars, if you have millions of dollars and say you buying a bunker would only be 4% of your overall money, I would say, yeah, I would invest 4% of your income in a bunker. Yeah, I would say so. If you can afford a bunker, I would get a bunker. If you can't afford a bunker, I would just have nice big stockpiles of food, and I got other videos on how to do that. I want to be as grounded in reality as I possibly can, right? And I want you to remember this quote. My stepfather used to go to Alcoholics Anonymous, and they were really big on this quote. I don't think it's particularly likely, but I think it could happen, right? And I think people need to prepare for that possibility. Oh man, it sure sucks that I'm over prepared. I don't think anybody ever said that, right? So, if a hurricane destroys your town and you were really preparing for World War III, I would say you still did good and you still did right by your family. I would go ahead and prepare more than you actually think you need to, right? That's what I think being a prepper is about. You really don't know what's going to happen, but you could speculate. And yeah, I would go balls to the wall being a prepper. Absolutely, why not? As long as it's responsible and you're within your means. Like don't literally take out a second mortgage on your home to prep because you know the apocalypse is coming next week. Don't do that. All right? Basically, within reason, be a super prepper. Why not? Be prepared for the various things that could happen. But this is my assessment on World War III. I'm going to trust the thousands of different experts that are saying the same thing. And, the composite of those thousands of experts is what these 4 AIs are saying. I actually know some people that are working on something called predictive analytics. So when I say I don't have a crystal ball, just know that I don't have a crystal ball yet. I will have one soon. More on that later. Jordan Jareb signing off.